I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning, but hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 22, the Black Death part 2, while doing lunch training and participating in the exercises that are on this. And the Black Death will be probably about, so this section, about a severe disease which had killed very many people. So, in 1348, so we're starting directly with the disease. In 1348, a disease, probably a form of plague, came to Britain. So, in some way it should be helpful us to know that this disease which were coming there, this was known as the Black Death, the next sentence, was a form of plague. There are different types of plagues. In a medical sense, in 1348, a disease, probably a form of plague, came to Britain. We don't even know if it was a form of plague. It was Yersinia pestis, that's the bacterium, but it came to Britain. This was known as the Black Death. So in 1348, a disease, which was probably a plague, came to Britain and it was the Black Death. And that is not really a cause for euphorism or something like that. We're starting with the lunch time. We are just warming up firstly. We are breathing in and out. Again in and out. Again in and out. We're breathing in and closing the legs. And we can start with lunch training with the first exercise, which is a squat exercise. So we're going into quarter squat and we're pressing near the leg onto the leg. Near to the pelvic, onto the upper part of the leg. And we're doing it with effort. This is isometric training. Now on the other side, we're pressing against the leg. We're going down into half squat and we're pressing against the middle part of the leg. With effort. And on the other side. Now we're going down into three-quarter squat and we're pressing close to the knee. And other side. And we're done with the first exercise. In 1348, probably a plague, its nickname is the Black Death, came to Britain. 1/3 of the population of England died, and a similar proportion in Scotland and Wales. So in 1348, 1/3 of the people living in England, Scotland and Wales died at this, what is known as the Black Death, which was a form of plague. This was one of the worst disasters ever to strike Britain. One of the worst. It was one of the worst disasters ever to strike Britain. And 1348, when 1/3 of the population of England, Scotland and Wales what's the word? Maybe later. In England, Scotland and Wales in 1348 died through the Black Death. We are on page 18. Following the Black Death, the smaller population meant there was less need to grow cereal crops. Everyone knows what cereal crops are. Cereals. I guess that means, I don't know, but I guess that means crops like wheat and maybe corn, but I don't know. Yes, corn could possibly grow in England. I never saw it planted, but I think from the climate it would grow, corn would grow. So they mean cereal crops. That's something which is found. Following the Black Death, the smaller population meant there was less need. So there were less people living because they all had died through the Black Death in 1348, and they didn't have to grow that much plants. Now we're going on with the next exercise. We are going down into three-quarter squat. We're pressing against the knee, and we're going towards the knee. So we're pressing with a lot of effort, and then we're going towards the knee. Again. Press against the knee and go towards the knee. And again. And one last round. Press against the knee. Go towards the knee. And it was again a squat exercise in this lunge training. There were labor shortages and peasants began to demand higher wages. Labor shortages means that there was not enough work. And peasants, so these farmers, began to demand higher wages. That means they wanted more money or more revenue. I'm not sure if it's completely, in that case, meant money in 1338 and following years. There were labor short, so it was not enough work there, so not enough work to do. So the people could not work, so they could not earn money. And because they could not earn money, they could not buy food. But there was not so great need to grow cereal crops because there were less people living. Let's take just the information we have here and don't think anything to it. But it still doesn't make sense if we just take the information here. New social classes appeared. So we know of one class, the ruling class. They were speaking Norman French. They came with William, the Duke of Normandy, and they were speaking Norman French, and on that Norman French had a great influence on modern day English. So there were new social classes appeared, including owners of large areas of land, later called the gentry. So here we have an explanation of a word, gentry, but we know the landowners or the land called gentry. I think I know that it is the land. I heard the term a couple of times, and I think it was always referred to the land. And people left the countryside to live in the towns. Let's go on with it. Let's go through the sentence again. After we have done the propeller, the next exercise in this lunge training, which is done in a squat, full squat down, arms to the outside. We're going over to one side and we're pressing the hand against the leg, and we're looking up to the other hand and have a little bend in that elbow. Back into the middle, down to the other side, and press against the leg, and have a little bend in the elbow. Back into the middle, and lift us the propeller. And the last squat exercise. There was a labor shortage. People demanded more wages, higher wages, and new social classes appeared. One of these social new classes was owners of large areas of land, later called the gentry. I think the land is called gentry. And people left the countryside to live in the towns. So after 1348, where the Black Death had killed a third of the population of England, Scotland and Wales, and the not so great need for agriculture was there to plant cereal crops, and there was a labor shortage, and there was a labor shortage maybe because there was not so much a great need to make cereal crops, and they demanded also higher wages, and because there was a labor shortage and new social classes had appeared also, for example, the people being landowners and controlling areas called later gentry. The people, because there was a labor shortage or something like that, left the country and went into the towns and cities. In the towns, growing wealth led to the development of a strong middle class. Now, they don't write that much dates here. I'm seeing here, down here is something about 1215, and the next number I can find is here by 1400. Now, is that happening here? It is happening after 1348, but is that all happening in 1360 or something, or 1380, or is that happening later? What is written here, that the people left the country and went into the towns, is happening in the 17th century or 18th century? It's not important for the test, but it would be nice to know that what is happening now here, that the people leaving the land and going into the towns, is happening in the 13th century or in the 18th century. I think, as far as I know, that it happened in both centuries, just more overall in multiple centuries. Next exercise. We're going into 1990 lunge. and we're pressing with one hand against the knee. With a lot of effort. And be torn up with the back. We're going over to the other side, and we're pressing again against the knee. We're having the 90-90 lunge, we're torn up with the back, and we're pressing against the knee. And we're going directly on in 90-135 lunge, so it is 135 degrees. And now we're torn up with the back, and we're pulling at the leg. And on the other side, again, 90 degrees and 135 degrees, and we're torn up with the back, and we're pulling the leg up. And directly on to the next exercise. Again, 90-145 degree lunge, and we're pulling a little below the knee, and we're straight and torn up with the back. And on the other side. And final exercise into the great full lunge, and torn up with the back, and we're pulling again a bit below the knee. Basically at the shin bone, at the top of the shin bone. And on the other side, into a full lunge, torn up with the back, straight back, and pull a bit at the top of the shin bone underneath the knee. And we're done with lunge training. One leg on the ground, and we're pulling the toes up. And on the other side, heel to the ground, and we're pulling a bit at the toes, and we're stretching the leg. Now up, legs shoulder width wide apart. We're breathing in, lifting your arms up. And we're breathing out, and we're going back, and we're opening the chest to the sky. And breathing in. And out, and open again the chest to the sky. Again in. Close the legs, bring the palms of the hands to touch. Breathe in. And out, and lean again back. And again in. And again out, and lean back. Again in. And out, we're doing the down diving swan. Bend the right knee. Bring the heel of the left leg to the left, and turn with the body to the left. Bring the toes of the left leg to the left, and turn with the body to the right. Now bend the left leg and straighten the right leg. Bring the heel of the right leg to the right, and go with the body to the right. Now bring the toes of the right leg to the right, and turn the body to the left. Straighten both legs and stretch both legs at a time. Breathe in. And out, we're coming slowly up the round back, and making at the top a backward shoulder roll. And now, just closing exercise, we're breathing in. We're breathing in. And out. In. And out. Now close the legs. And we're done with the lunge training. We have a minute left. It won't be enough, I guess. But maybe. In the town's growing wealth led to the development of a strong middle class. So we have a land-owning class, and we also know something about the ruling class. And in the land where many people had gone because there was labor shortage, we never know why they left. The people left the countryside to live in the towns. And in the towns there was growing wealth, so people got richer and had more to live from, and a strong middle class developed. In Ireland, the black death killed many in the Pale, and for a time the area controlled by the English became smaller. The Pale is the area which was controlled by the English king near Dublin, and the English king was accepted by important lords as the ruling authority. And in this pale area near Dublin, where many people had lived, and the area which was controlled by the English became smaller. I thank you very much, and next time.